check. We'll be right back.
Spoken word. She's hip-hop. 360. Yeah. Alright, God. Let me talk to y'all real quick. Yo, Anray 3000 said he don't have nothing to speak about. I respect him much, but don't agree in the least amount. Our people's lost in crooked ways, we gotta lead them out. The false teachers are speaking, shh, we gotta weed them out. And there's so many things we could meet about and put to rest adverse to things we could beef about. The school to prison pipelines real in America. MK Ultra invading all of your mental barriers, attacking positive chi, making you disagreeable, infecting your flesh, and the damage is unforeseeable. Adapted ways of the snakes, trapped by King Leopold. The booth is my home, my soul, music's my vehicle to drive home the point of truth. I'm a one-man army ciphering, battling zeitgeist in the booth at heights, fighting the spook, a night light for the youth. I write life in a sentence and giving it just to you. It's lyrically been a few, but most don't really spit flames, addressing the real, cause that's cause most of them been tame. My chin stained by bird marks when the gift came. It's hot in the book of life, my name's now ingrained. I spit sage, murder, mucus, get your click grades. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the 10th wave. Disciples of Noah told them about the higher grounds to avoid the flood of venom of those with wires now. Any booth you put me in, consider firebound. Anyone not spitting truth should retire now. I heard the threats in the distance from those with bird chests. A bird mess, get them all hit quick. I'm Fibonacci climbing, a higher tier in this rhyming. My sequence is defense, precincts don't try it. To God, to God, to God, to God. 360. Talk to me. What type of life is this? Righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. I was granted a gift, planted to shift this. Walk with a big stick and talk with the mystics. Lost in the distance. Long for the big rips, I'm more than a quick fist, I'm God of this. Black hole scent rippling, gathering light. Catch this info from radiance, you fathom is bright. Under rays of the sun, watching the flow in the night. Heat on my waist just in case I'm exposed to the ice. And what you know about the lows if you weren't told of the heights? Truly learn about the wrongs if you weren't told of the rights. What I'm about to bring to the game is gonna leave a permanent mark and a stain. Disrupt and distort the plane. Rearrange entire landscapes, a higher level in flames is summoned whenever speaking my name. Lead a lane. I'm different than anything ever heard before I came. Somehow whistling Dixie, some just crystalline pain. 360. What type of life is this? Righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship.
All right. Welcome back to the Warrior Scholar Podcast. I am your host, Kofi Piche. We have a special guest in the building. I'll let him briefly introduce himself, and then we'll get with the scheduled program.
Peace to the family. Peace to everybody out there. My name is Anray 360. I mean, I'm proud to be a part of this platform.
All right. So before we get in the interview, y'all know I always have to go through my spew. I always have to give these few definitions, and then from my perspective, what a warrior scholar is when we combine both of the words. But a warrior is a soldier, a combative, one who wages war, a person who engaged or experienced in warfare broadly, a person engaged in some struggle or conflict. a person who scholar, a person who attends a school or study under a teacher, a person who has done advanced studies in special fields, a learned person, a holder of scholarship, a scholar, a person who studies a subject in great detail, especially at a university. My perspective, when you combine the word warrior and scholar, you get warrior scholar. So a warrior scholar, from my perspective, is someone who is well studied in waging war against mistruths, pseudoisms, and willing to stand on the battlefield against institutions and platform that promotes that. A warrior scholar is someone who is on a mission for the truth, for accurate and sound information. A warrior scholar is one who has discipline, good characters, morals, and willing to fight back against those who use misinformation dangerously. So this brother today that we have on the panel is definitely a warrior scholar in his own right. So this being the Warrior Scholar Show, my brother Anray, this question I ask every guest that comes on the panel, and that is, who are some of your warrior scholars, and who are some of the warrior scholars influence you on your journey?
Wow, it's so many. I would start off first and foremost though with El Haj Malik El Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X to the rest of the world. Raza Luke, son the great, you know what I mean? Of course, Malcolm X, whew, he had such a profound impact on my life in my early 20s that changed my life. I was always pro-black, but Malcolm X, I read his book before I actually seen the movie back in the day, and the movie don't do his life any justice compared to what the book, the way Alex Haley wrote that book. It took you into there. You actually could see it, and you was living it. You was feeling what he felt. You was visioning his thoughts. And he first and foremost was one of my biggest warrior scholars. Of course, Marcus Garvey. You know what I'm saying? All of his accomplishments, what he did. You know what I mean? Owning his own a line of fleet of ships. You know what I mean? Running his own businesses, his own newspaper, printing his own newspapers. That's what's more revolutionary than that. You know what I mean? When you own your own, you're not dependent on the oppressor who wants to have his foot on your back. You lifted his foot off your back, and you making your own way and letting them know we standing on our own regardless of your presence. There's so many. Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Dr. Amos Wilson. Dr. John Henrik Clark. I could go on and on.
Yeah, man. Can't go wrong with none of them. You are, I think, the 55th guest, and out of the 55th guests that I done had on the Warrior Scholar platform, Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X, I can say, have been majority of a lot of the guest Warrior Scholars. They have affected a lot of the brothers and sisters, in this movement that we in, man. So salute and shout out to the ancestors, Marcus Garvey and our brother Malcolm X. All right. Your name, man, Anray 360, is powerful and distinct. Can you break down the meaning and the attention behind your name?
Well, Anray, that's the pronunciation of my birth name. It's my actual birth name is spelled Henri. The H is silent, so in French it's Henri. I got Creole roots in my family. They pronounce it Anray. And then I put Anray. Then I put 360 behind it because when I came into knowledge of self, true knowledge of self. I went through a lot of schools. I was raised as a Christian. In the military, I became Islam right after reading the Malcolm X book. Started practicing Islam, and then I went into the Nation of the Gods and the Earths, the Five Percenters. I went through a lot of the different schools. I started studying Buddhism at one point in my life for a few years, and Taoism, Zen, the way, the path. And then I came across African spirituality, and it just changed my life. Me knowing who I was, naturally being who you are, not trying to follow somebody else's way, just being who you are naturally. It's already in our DNA to be whole, to be complete, And when you are whole, mind, body, and soul, you are complete. That's a whole. A whole is 360, not 100%. So I don't say keep it 100 to nobody. I say keep it 360. You know what I'm saying? Keep it whole, keep it complete. We're dealing with supreme mathematics when we talking 360. So 360 is me being mind, body, and soul, one with the ancestors who am an extension of, directly connected to, and the source that they are extensions of and directly connected to, which brings us complete full circle, whole, 360, Anray 360. And I'm for my people. You know what I mean? You can't, when you bring it back full circle, you standing right back where you came from, where you started from. And that's what our ancestors.
Man, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, man. I always have to ask. A lot of guests also come on the panel. They have some of these distinct names, so I know they have meanings behind it. So I always want to, to get the guests to break down what their names, because I some, I kind of get and some I don't. So I be wanting to understand, and it kind of
Mm-hmm.
gives me a better sense of the person when they break down their names, man. So I appreciate you for that.
Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you.
as someone who's deeply rooted in consciousness and artistry, what was the first piece of literature that transformed your thinking? And what was the most recent book you read? And I'm asking that question because just listening to some of your music, Anray, I can tell that you are a well-studied brother, and just breaking down the schools of thought that you've been through and the forms of studying that you went through those schools of thought, man. So what was the first piece of literature that transformed your thinking, and what is your most recent book you've read?
My first piece of literature, I stated earlier in the interview, without focusing on it, should I say? And it was the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley. It transformed me in a way that I never imagined. As I look back now and reflect, it changed the course of my life. You know what I mean? I was out in the streets partying, doing my thing, went into the military, try to be a better version of myself, only to get treated like an animal, to be
Mhm.
treated like less than a human being, to be told that I'm not worth nothing or looked down on. You know what I mean? Why you supposed to salute these people who's commit outright racism against you, or discrimination against you, oppression against you, and letting you know that they hate you, letting you know that they dislike you, and letting you know you can never really be one of them. Malcolm X walked that same path, and to read his autobiography, it reflected a mirror image of mine in a lot of ways, because one thing Malcolm X said in his book, his autobiography, is that anytime you encounter any instance of racism, discrimination, oppression against your people, hate against your people, and you refuse to speak out against it and stand firm, take a firm stance against it, you know what I mean? An unapologetic stance against it, then you were just as guilty as the ones committing it.
Yes,
That
sir.
changed my life. That transformed me. So the autobiography of Malcolm X changed my life. The most recent book I read, sometimes I'm reading three books at the same time. You know what I'm saying? But the most recent book I would say that really impacted me, I would say Warrior by Mwalimu Baruti.
Okay.
Baba Mwalimu Baruti. For those who don't know, that's an author of probably like 30 something books, 40 something. I'm not sure exactly how many books he's got, but he's has many books. And he's been one of my biggest influencers since I've been in the Atlanta area. And I came here 15 years ago, and he's guided me and directed me as one of the Jegnas. For those who don't know what a Jegna is, the Europeans will use what's the word? They'll say mentor. We don't
Mm.
use mentor. We use the word jegna. That's somebody who has accomplished a lot in the community and is a teacher in the community, highly respected. And you have to earn that title of a jegna from the people and from other elders in the community that know that you have committed your life. You have done what is necessary to be put on that pedestal, along with the other elite scholars and teachers and those who are worthy to carry that title of somebody leading the people within the community.
I'm glad you said that. I say that a lot. You know, I look at everything from an African perspective. That's my worldview. So
Yes.
elder. So I don't look at individuals who are older than me and salute them as my elders. They're, they have to be deemed an elder through the community. They have to exhibit certain characteristics in order to be an elder. And
Yes.
your status of being older than someone does not deem you to be an elder. So I'm glad you broke that down. And Baba Baruti is definitely an elder, and definitely once he transitioned, he's definitely going to be recognized as an ancestor. That's something too. Everybody else doesn't get recognized as an elder or an ancestor when they're transition, right? It's criteria and things that they have to do to resemble that in order to become an elder, in order to become, and also to become an ancestor when they transition.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
the term nature, I hear you use it a lot, and but it's used a lot. That's a common term, but the term nature is often comes up in a circle of African-centered knowledge. For those unfamiliar, can you explain a netter or a nature, what it means, and the importance of it in your work?
Yeah. Netter. I used to pronounce it netter, netteru. You know what I mean? Years ago when I first came across the term, and a netter is it's a divine being. You know, it's the African, the ancient Kemetic term for a divine being, one who moves in a godlike fashion. Um, um, it's the spiritual aspect of who we are. You know what I'm saying? A netter is a divine conscious energy. You know what I'm saying? That moves with intention, that moves one with its purpose, moves one with the source. It's an extension of God. Most people say netur or neter or neteru. You know what I'm saying? You know, we are me saying I'm one of the neteru, which is many of us. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of the many divine beings in the flesh, manifest in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? I'm God in the flesh. You know what I mean? Not God over everybody else, but God of my world. You know what I'm saying? I am in control. I'm one with nature. That's where the English get the term nature from. Nature is where the English have stolen that term and said nature. It's a creative force, it's creative energy, but it's very conscious and it's positive, and it's one that doesn't go against nature. You know what I'm saying? It's one that doesn't go against the divine principalities, the divine flow of the cosmos that the earth sits in. Because we say we from earth and all this other stuff, but the earth sits in the cosmos. You know what I'm saying? It's one that goes with the flow of the cosmic vibration and frequency of life. You know what I'm saying? And harmony and the continuation of all of that encompasses.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate the breakdown of that. I'm in a group. We hadn't did nothing in a while. I'm in a group called the Sesh Metal Nature, and we've been on. You can look it up. Anybody can go look it up. We got a channel called the Seshuma Ni
Okay.
Meta Nature, where we learn how to transliterate and translate the glyphs, or which I would call the hieroglyphs, but what they would consider as the meta nature. And the
Yeah.
people
Yes.
there called the Remich or the Remichu, and
Okay. Yeah.
the terminology behind the word nature. And when you look into the meta nature, as you quoted nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything in nature, if you look at everybody, you look at the Remich that was there in Northeast Africa, they revered everything in nature, the happy river, you know what I'm saying? They
Yes.
revered the river, they revered the wind, Shu, you know what I'm saying? They
Yes.
revered the
Yes.
wind, they revered the sun, Ra. These were things, that they needed. They needed the sun. They needed the water. They needed the plants. They needed the food that grow within the ground. Okay, yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I have
Yeah.
quite a few of his books as well. And actually, my teacher, Wu Jiao, he comes from that brother's book, School of Thought, that he had right there.
Okay.
And who was my teacher, Wu Jiao Irimaat.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yes, sir, man. You're frequently use the term greatness across your projects. What deeper meaning do those words hold for you both personally and artistically?
It's deeper to me, when I use the word great and greatness, because I know we come from greatness. You know what I mean? We are inspired from greatness. Um, uh, peace, Marcia Harris. Peace, son the great. Son the great. You know what I'm saying? We talk about greatness. We talk about son the great. He
Mm-hmm.
spells his GR8. You know what I mean? We talk about the greatness that we come from, the greatness that we are an extension of. You know what I'm saying? So when we do our music, we title our album, stuff like that, and especially when we put the music that we're putting out, the content we're putting out, we are pulling from greatness, the greatness that we are, are of. You know what I'm saying? And to put out anything less than something epic, you know what I'm saying? That can be put on a par level of great, something that's considered great or greatness, you know what I mean? Then we're not representing ourselves like like we supposed to. We are greatness. When we come from greatness, that means you carry a DNA of greatness. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't manifest in this physical realm first without existing in the energy realm. We all know that. They teach that, you know what I mean, in the ancient schools of thought. You know what I'm saying? So when I say, the Great I Am was one of my first albums, that I put out on the underground, and then and it was a mixtape mixed with original beats and mixtape beats. Then I started going on. I carried that title like greatness. I gotta live up to that. My second
Mm-hmm.
underground album was called Return of Greatness. You know what I'm saying? And then
Mm-hmm.
I started putting stuff online, years later after I came across Son the Great and them. And I wanted to uphold that standard of greatness in my music, that quality, you know, and that level of inspiration that I'm trying to inspire others, you know what I mean, to strive for. I want them to be great as well. Be your greatest version of yourself, not what with this Urugu society teaches you. You know what I mean, to be savage, to be self-destructive, to hate on yourself and hate on each other. Nah, we better than that. You know what I'm saying? So greatness means so much more to me.
And I asked that question because I didn't know, as I started doing my journalistic thing and research, on you and coming across, I didn't know you had this many. You got a bunch of projects out, and every project, it has the word great or greatness in it, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I know each one without even listening to them, just looking at and the running down the title names. I'm like, man, I know every one of these. I know every one of these projects finna be fire. I just know
Yeah.
every one of these projects is being fire. Every album has great or greatness in it. So I know this album is finna be great. This brother is not finna name these projects with this terminology and it does not be great. So just listening to your rich your rich biography on your music, man. Unfiltered greatness, soul of greatness, the vibration of greatness, universal consciousness, in the honor of greats, the emergency of greatness, storm on greatness. Okay, which one of these albums or projects are one of your favorite albums, man?
Um, I would probably say the Soul of Greatness.
Mhm.
And I say that because it's got this song that a lot of people, including myself, that just speaks to my soul. Most of my All my music speaks to my soul. I mean, because it comes from the soul. Um, so I would say the Soul of Greatness though, because I got more musical in that one than I did probably on any other album. The direction that I took was such a spiritual one, more than anything. A lot of my earlier stuff, I wanted to just let people know, like, look, man, I'm here. You know what I mean? Lyrically, I'm here. I know y'all repping. You know what I mean? But put me in the count too when you mention some of the top ones, because I got something to say, and I got something to say in a manner that few can bring to the table. And we all bring something to the table that, as individuals, that it's a level of expertise that we bring as individuals that everybody can't do. So what we all bring as individuals, we are adding to the pot. And going back to me saying the, paying homage and reverence to those who came before me, the ancestors, the source. So many people along the way made me, the person that I call great today. You know what I'm saying? I'm great in my own right because of so many people musically that I've come across, the people I've worked with, the people that inspired me from Run DMC back to, you know what I mean, LL Cool J, you know, and then we can get into the Rakims, you know what I mean, the Tupacs, the you know what I mean, the Wise Intelligence, the Poor Righteous Teachers, KRS, you know, Brother J, you know what I mean, from the X Clan, and Professor X from the X Clan, and so many others that, you know, that inspired me along the way, and you know, so I gotta pay homage and respect to them, and it's another word, scholar, I should have mentioned, and we can go on all day with that. But I'm never going to forget Kwame Ture, man, aka Stokely Carmichael. He is one of my favorites, yo.
No doubt, no doubt. Man, describe your sound for someone hearing your music for the first time. What makes Anray music stand apart in the world of RBG hip hop? And you do have your own lane, brother. Just my that's my personal opinion. Just listening to uh your albums, man, you do have your own type of lane, man. You do have your own feel. So can you kind of describe your sound, man? Your sound.
Well, to me, it's important to emphasize, you know what I mean, what you're saying. You know what I mean? So when I'm spitting my lyrics, I know that what I want to stick out, I have to emphasize that when I'm delivering my rhymes, when I'm delivering certain words in my songs, you know, I want to make them stand out and be epic also, you know what I mean? So I learned that from Malcolm X, you know what I mean? That's why he was one of my greatest warrior scholars, because he made sure whatever he said was effective. You know what I'm saying? He
Mhm.
made sure that the intended effect, you know what I mean, was carried out. You know what I mean? Was achieved to the people that he was speaking to the audience that he was addressing, you know. So I think the reason why I got my own sound is because I focus on making sure that I have that effect. And you can't have that effect without touching the soul. So my
Mm,
music has a
mm,
element of soul to it that I feel like has to be. We grew up listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know what I mean? Luther
mhm,
Vandross. You know, Barry White. You know what I
mhm,
mean? Gil
mhm.
Scott Heron. Listen to Gil Scott Heron stuff. I know you listen to Gil Scott
Yes,
Heron stuff.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? So you know, like Son said, the esoteric essence that we bring, that I bring, and that the Vengers bring, it's important. You know, I got another brother from the Vengers. Remember, you know, we came together through the Vengers, named Red Fidel. Fidel, that's somebody you definitely got to check into, look up, check out his catalog. He's incredible, yo. One of my favorite lyricists that I ever run across, ever. And he brings an esoteric level and essence to the way he brings it. And that's what we do. We came up with a group called the Solarians within the group of the Vengeance. Me and him
Mm,
have a group called the Solarians, and we about to release a project, and it's incredible. Solarian, you know, because you
mm.
know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, it's
I
powerful, bro.
like
It's
that. I
powerful.
like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We in the soul. We bring in an element where we getting reconnected with the soul. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? They try to take our soul from us. You know what I
mhm,
mean? In music, they giving
mhm,
us a bunch of artificial stuff. You know what I'm saying? Synthesized stuff through synthetic instruments and stuff like that. And we're bringing back the soul. The medunetter, that, you know what I mean, that you were speaking on earlier. That
mhm.
we talk about the
Yes,
tones that carry the vibration, a
yes.
frequency. You know what I
Mm,
mean? That resonated with the soul, resonated with our very essence, our esoteric essence that brought forth into manifestation our physical essence. So
yep.
when we talking with the tongue of the tones, you know what I mean? We talking frequency, you know what I mean? And that's what I try to bring in my music. Yeah, man,
Yep.
I can make that connection on a cellular level, as well as spiritual level.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I get that. I'm shaking my head and I'm smiling because every project that I listen to you of yours, it gives that soulful type vibe, man. And with the selection of music or beats that you had on top of your lyricism, man, it's like each song was actually touching my soul for real. Like it's like I'm smiling. And it's put me in a setting of some of those old classics that I grew up off of. Listen to my grandmother. Listen to some of these. these old albums. You know, my dad listened to some of these albums, so it took me back to my early days, you know what I'm saying? But it also was like it was touching my soul, and you know, it was empowering me, you know what I'm saying, also in a, you know, in a sense. If even if I was vibrating on a low vibration that day, listening to some of your music, I'll give you an example. One of the songs, I don't know if that's your son, Hutu, or whatever. One of the songs I just popped in, and you know, I was kind of having a bad day, man. You know what I'm saying? And so I popped in and I said, let me go back and start listening to some more of the brother music. And I popped in. I don't know what album that was. It's an album with, I don't know if that's your son or somebody on the front of the CD with you, or
That's my son. Yeah.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Hootie 360.
Yeah, Hootie, and you know, it kind of raised my vibration, like I'm saying, and like your music. That's why I'm saying you got your own lane. Your music is definitely soulful and it's definitely reaching and touching people's souls. You know what I'm saying, by the beat selection and by your lyricism on top of it, man. So I want to say, man, each project that I listened to, I listened to 5 or 6 of your projects, and each one of those albums is solid. When you said greatness, they definitely was, you know what I'm saying, some great, you know, great pieces of art, man. So I appreciate, man, those projects that you definitely put out, man. And those who ain't check it out, man, y'all definitely gonna have to go check out my brother, because I'm late to the party. You know what I'm saying? I'm late to the party. I didn't even know until Son was telling me about, you know, Son was telling me about, and Son was telling me about the entire Vengeance group. I already knew about Mike, you know, and Son, but I didn't know about the other members. So when I interviewed the Vengeance, it was, I could have went and reached out, which I'm gonna reach out to the other brothers, you know what I'm saying? Because every last one of the brothers is dope, but I don't know, just the conversation and your energy just off of that Vengeance. I was like, you was gonna be the first brother that I reached to outside of Mike and Son, because I had already interviewed them, you know what I'm saying, following up to the next interview, man. And then, you know, and I enjoy, you know, researching, getting my journalistic 1-2 on, you know what I'm saying, by sticking with your music, man, and you know, and you know, just researching some of the things, man, that you definitely are about, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I appreciate you being a you know, you're a family man, you know what I'm saying? You're a proud family man, you know what I'm saying? You proud to be married to your wife, you proud, you know what I'm saying, to be a father to your children, man. And that stands out to me as well. Somebody's there, you know, proud, you know, to be a family man. We need more men like that, where, you know, they want to, you know, a lot of us want to, you know, have that image of being a player, you know, running around from woman to woman. You know what I'm saying? And that's not cool. We too old for that. You know what I'm saying? And we got old folks still out here trying to live the 19-year-old glory days, man. But yeah, man. But I definitely appreciate that, man. How did you, while we're talking about the Vengeance, man, how did you connect with Son the Great, leading to your involvement in the Vengeance supergroup? What has the creative process been like with the group, from your opinion?
Me and Son, I'm trying to remember. We met through a mutual brother named Amun, matter of fact, aka Scorpius Ray. And Scorpius Ray, he had a spiritual retreat that we all went to Arizona, Tucson, Arizona for. And every year he does this. It's called the Temple of Soul. We go out there, we break bread with each other, we go into the mountains. We was out there that first year, matter of fact, that we went out there, we was out there in the mountains in Arizona hiking, me and Son. We went all the way to the top, me and Son and Blue Pill, my son Hootie. You know, when you see Hootie 360, that stands for the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom and knowledge and information, the scroll keeper that they call Tahuti. You know what I'm saying? But we pronounce it Dahuti, Djehuti. You know what I mean? Some people say Zdahuti, you know what I mean, with the Z in front of it, you know what I mean? Depending on where you're going through. Dr. Malachi York teaches that's the pronunciation of it. But yeah, when we was in the mountains up there with the Temple of Soul, me and Son met, we built, we knew that we learned, you know, while we was there, that each other did music, and we said we was going to vibe with each other and kick it when we got back. But the following week after the Temple of Soul spiritual retreat that we did, and DMX died while we was up there in the mountains. I want to say that DMX died. Rest in power to DMX. You know what I'm saying? We partied on the mountain and played his music. Me, Son the Great, Blue Pill, Scorpius Ray, Marina. You know what I mean? One of the most close. She's a sister that was one of the real close people to Dr. Sebi, and she's one of our main herbalists that we talk to and we go to when we need some holistic healing or just some direction with the herbs, you know, things that we're doing in our life, you know what I mean? But we was all up there and we party honoring Dr. Not Dr. Sebi, but honoring DMX. And me and Son grew close. We grew formed a connection, a strong connection there, just as brothers, both from the same area. Me and him went to Martin Luther King High School in Philadelphia and never knew each other. Never knew each other. You know what I mean? We graduated the same year in Martin Luther King High School, never knew each other. Both of us was known throughout the school as you know, people who rhymed and did our thing with hip hop. Never met each other. And if we did, we didn't know who each other was. So until we came full circle and started talking about who we knew, where we came from and all that. The following week, I celebrated my birthday out in Vegas, and they met us out there in Vegas. Him and his wife left Arizona, came out there to Vegas, met up with us. We broke bread some more. We listened to each other's music. We kicked it. And as soon as we got back to Atlanta, months later, I would say, we started playing around with the idea of doing shows together, doing a couple songs together. And we eventually, I want to say like a year later, we went and took a trip to Arkansas. Son could tell you what the event was called. It was the Pilgrims Massacre or something like that that they did out there. It's a real big, strong RBG music festival thing and celebration with it. You know, they massacring the Pilgrims. You know what I'm saying? We you know, get off our land type stuff. RBG. And me, Mike Chambers, and Son the Great rode down there. I want to say it was 8 hours down and 8 hours back to that event, and we stayed the whole weekend. And the whole way down, we played all of our music. We didn't even play all of our music, but it was just our music playing in the song. I didn't know Mike Chambers. It was my first time really meeting him, and I didn't know he had so much. He had such a catalog of music, and Mike is way more spiritual than a lot of people know. Mike deals with the esoteric knowledge and information as well, and he got some projects that I'm begging him to put out. You know what I mean? So honor and salute to Mike Chambers, one of my favorite MCs in Avengers and period as well.
No
you know, so we listened to each other's music. Son just kept playing more stuff. And I was like, after like 5, 6 songs, I was like, man, listen, I got some music too. You know what I mean? So I played some of mine, like 4 or 5 of mine, and Mike was like, yo, hold up, I got music. And we just kept doing that over and over. And we got to playing like 3 songs a piece of each other, just kept it in rotation. And everybody was just like, yo, we got to do something together. And that's where the Avengers was formed between me, Mike Chambers, and Son the Great. And it was all Son the Great's idea. You know, I wanted us to do music together. Mike wanted us to do music together, but Son thought of the group, the formation of a super group through other people that he knew, like Kintex, Nubian Bear, and of course the Scorpius Ray, who was a moon that we went on the Temple of Soul retreat with, who I've known in Philly for years as a crazy spoken word artist, singer, and hip hop artist. You know, crazy with the lyrics. So, man, I love them brothers, man, and it was crazy. And doing music with them, the creative process of doing music with them, I can't even say it's a formula to it. We hear a beat, we'll select the beat, and it's something that we all gotta agree on. I won't jump on a track if I'm not feeling the beat. You know, like if we talked about the soul before. Son will pick some weird beats, yo. You know what I'm saying? Son will pick some weird beats.
Yeah.
Yo, but they crazy hot and fire.
Yeah.
You know, when you see how he gets on, you know, how he gets down on them, and it's like, dad, he makes you want to get down on it. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I won't jump on a beat or a track unless I'm really feeling it. It has to move me. And it's been a couple of those tracks that they chose, and I just was like, yeah, you know what I mean? But I heard how they went on it. I was like, damn, they murdered this thing. Hold on, let me put my pen to this thing and just, you know, jump outside my normal lane and play with this thing. And yeah, you know, we all inspire each other, man. And so the creative process is us just feeding off of each other, man, off of each other's greatness, off of the love that we have for what we do, man. This is what we grew up loving, you know what I mean? And we wanted to add to the culture. So the Avengers, you know, was formed because we wanted to add to the culture. We wanted the world to hear that we got a collection of brothers that bring it all as individual solo artists. We are all solo artists, you know what I mean, who decided to come together and form a group as well as still do our solo projects. Every project that you see online, I did that after I became a Avengers member. You know what I mean? And I got 9 albums online. And and Son inspired me to do that, you know, because we grown men, and as brothers and grown men, y'all gonna bicker every now and then, you know what I mean? And be like, you know, oh yeah, well look, I'm putting out a project then. You know what I mean? Let's see y'all keep up. And you know, his son was the first one to put a project. He had a project out before the Vengeance. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy hot, you know, vintage season. You know, so y'all need to tap into that. You know, those who don't know Son the Great, Soon Diata Brown, aka Son the Great, tap into Vintage Season. He has a crazy project that he put out even before the formation of the Avengers. And you know, all of us, Big Nell got a crazy catalog. Y'all gotta look up Big Nell. Big Nell is sick with it. He's sick with it.
I interviewed Big Nell. I forgot about Big Nell. I interviewed Big Nell. And, he got I didn't know he had a catalog out that he, you know, quite a bit of work put out there as well. It's kind of old, but it's still, I was listening to some albums. I'm thinking he just put them out, and he put them out 7 years ago. You know, some of the albums were 7 years ago, 6 years ago. I'm like, dang, these still jamming. Like, you know, I'm thinking you just put them out till I went and looked at the day. Damn, this, you know, this is saying 2018. You know, this is saying 1970. So, you know, shout out to Big Neil as well, man. All of y'all, man, are definitely dope, man. And I'm glad the Son is exposing me to all of y'all music, man. We need more music with, you know, that has a positive message and some substance, you know what I'm saying, that can empower us and definitely liberate, you know what I'm saying, our minds from or erase our minds from a lot of the stuff that we have been conditioned with, you know, in this society, in this world, through religion as well as education, man. So
you know, Son, when I said earlier that he inspired me to put out a lot of albums, you know what I mean, or not just put out music, period, because, you know, I was signed to Def Jam back in '98, you know what I mean, and under the Big East Conference, me and a brother named T Law, rest in peace, soar and power to my brother. You know, I knew him since like 5th grade. One of the craziest lyricists in South Jersey and Philadelphia, period. T Law. Shout out to Vin Rock, you know what I mean, and Saeed Scott. But we had a group called the Big East Conference, and we was under the label. We would go and do shows with Eric Sermon. We got songs that never have been released with Eric Sermon, Redman, different people. And because the label tried to change me so much, and I conformed to a certain extent, you know, trying to put out what the label wanted me to put out, I lost my passion for music. You know, I lost my passion and I lost my way, where I would write music and I would feel it coming through me. Like, I'd be like, yo, something crazy coming right now. You know, I'll let one of my partners know, and they'll be like, yo, I'm calling them like 4 a.m, like, yo, listen, you know what I mean? And I lost that passion for like 4 years. When I finally got it back, I decided to never let it go, because they wanted me to talk about stuff that I wasn't about. Right. You know what I mean? That's why it's so important, you know, that you stay true to your soul. You know what I mean? And that's the true definition of selling your soul. When you do what these other people want you to do, that, you know, when you be in something that's not you. You know what I mean? The industry wants you to, they want you to do something that goes against your biological makeup, your esoteric makeup. You know what I'm saying? And Son, you know, when he came along, I wasn't interested in putting out a bunch of music for the masses. I was cool with people who knew me, and hey, you know what I mean? I'm cool with around the way people. But Son was like, nah, man, the world need to hear us. The world need to hear us. And you know, so shout out to Son, man, because he's one of the people that really pushed not just the Avengers, but us as individuals to take it to the next level and make sure that the world hear us. You know what I mean? Shout out to Son the Great.
Yeah, no, most definitely. You kind of already answered my next question, man. But I you know, and that the question was, in the world where commercial hip hop often overshadow consciousness voices, how did you remain rooted in your purpose without compromising your message? So you kind of already broke down that you know, in the beginning you did let the industry compromise you, where
Yeah.
it tainted your artistry, you know what I'm saying? Dampened your
Yes.
artistry, darkened your artistry where you just didn't want to do it at all, you know. And so now you develop a mindset where you will not be compromised, you will not sell out, you know what I'm saying, for
Exactly.
$1 bill, you know what I'm saying? So yes, most definitely. And there are a lot of people in this industry, you know, are definitely selling their soul, you know what I'm saying, for $1 bill. That is not who they are, but they doing whatever these hip hop execs and record labels are asking them to do because, you know, this is what sells. This is what makes the money. You know what I'm saying? To be controversial, to promote, you know what I'm saying, killing another person that looks like you, to promote, you know, the overuses of drugs, to promote permissionless over sexualization and so forth, man. You know, and y'all brothers are definitely a refresh, a breath air for me, because I'm one of the brothers who's been complaining, you know what I'm saying, for years. There's a few people I knew that did music. I'm talking about a small few people, and that was at the time was Stigalo, my brother Ibaka the Conqueror from out of L.A., California, Rock and Musa, Obafemi, you know, in the group MCE, you know, that was a small selection over the years, and I'll say Oluwase. So these were some of the brothers that I would just constantly listen to. So it was like a handful. So, you know, this year, earlier, at the top of this year, after interviewing, I didn't know nothing about none of these. I didn't know where y'all was. I was complaining, but after listening to the RBG Gumbo album, I'm like, damn, I don't know none of these individuals, and just listen to the songs. That's how I got introduced to Son. That's how I got introduced to Mike, and so forth. And then from that album, it just spun me wanting to, you know, get in here and just start interviewing a lot of these guys, you know what I'm saying? Because I want to get to know, you know, who are some of these guys are, because I'm listening to the music and I know how the music is affecting me, you know what I'm saying? So I want to get to know them and then put them on my platform and expose, you know, the people that, you know what I'm saying, that support me, to expose them to them, because they are some of the same people too. Or it's like we need more music, you know what I'm saying, that has a positive message, has substance behind it, and something that actually can liberate the minds of our people, man. So y'all definitely, man, are a breath of fresh air, man. So, you know, that complaining essence of me saying we don't have that, we definitely got that. And then Son started the Vengeance Radio. So now we got all these people that I have met through, you know, through Mike and Obafemi and Mike Chambers and Big Neil, and also through you now, you know what I'm saying? You know, I can continue to share y'all music with other peoples, and even share the Vengeance Radio, because y'all all are being played on there, you know, 24/7, man. So salute to y'all, man.
Well, salute to you as well, brother.
Yeah. Man, you're not just an MC, you're also a father and a husband. How has fatherhood shaped your message and influenced the way you approach the mic and your mission?
Being a father gave me a greater sense of purpose, you know, on top of being a pillar in the community, and a bright light and inspiration in the community for my people that I already had made up my mind to be. Being a father let me know that when I get on that mic and I start to lay down verses, my kids is going to hear this stuff. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
knowing that my kids is going to hear it, I can't have my son singing a bunch of curse words and stuff. And there's times you want to get on that mic and do some cursing, because the devil need to be cursed at. You know what I'm saying? These beasts, these Yorugos, these troglodytes need to be, they need to feel the full wrath and the fury of what we, you know, of what our ancestors went through, let alone what we still going through and enduring to this day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When I get on the mic, I think about my kids. I think about I got grandbabies, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got grandbabies, twins, and they love my music. My son, since he was 1 year old, in the baby seat, bobbing his head to the music, I'm like, yo, look at him. You know what I mean? Um, I want them to hear a vibration and a frequency that's also conducive to to inspire them for greatness and positive greatness as well. You know what I mean? We are warriors, but we are so much more. We fathers, you know what I mean? We husbands, we brothers, we sisters, we sons to a couple people, our mothers and fathers. You know what I'm saying? And we nephews, we uncles, and so I carry that responsibility and accountability whenever I touch the mic to make sure I'm bringing a certain level of greatness through my artistic expression, but also being responsible of knowing that I want the kids to be able to listen to this too. And I want the parents, when they playing this in their cars, to not feel like, damn, I got this playing and it's a bunch of curse words in here and the kids can't listen to this. I got to turn this off. No, we want the kids to get the message too. So we got to deliver it in a way that the whole village can bob to it, that they can groove to it. You know what I mean? The oldest way to reach the masses in ancient times, you know what I mean? Our ancestors used to communicate over the drums. We celebrated over the drums. You know what I mean? We partied over the drums. We sounded the war cry over the drums. You know what I mean? We did so much through music, you know, making noises with our mouths and singing and with the horns and everything. We did all of this through music. You know what I mean? So it's important that we make sure that we carry on that through our ancestors too. When it's time to go to war and lace them with a bunch of, you know what I mean, the FUs and all that other stuff, we're going to do that. It's a time and place for that. But I'm just real conscious of the way I deliver it when I know that my son is going to be listening to it, my nephew is going to be listening to it, and so on and so forth. So that definitely has an impact on how I approach the music.
Yeah, y'all listen to that, y'all. We all need to approach it in that manner. And I appreciate the music, you know, and I was telling son that too, like on the Vengeance Radio, you know, I'll be honest, I really don't give a damn about the grown folk. I'm trying to save the kids, the babies, you know what I'm saying? So everything I do for the youth. And
Yes.
so, you know, I appreciate the projects, you know what I'm saying, that you put out, because those projects I can ride now, you know what I'm saying, with my son and my daughter, you know what I'm saying? And I don't have to worry about, you know, turning it down or scared they finna hear something that they ain't got no business hearing, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I appreciate the approach, you know what I'm saying, when you're doing your music. I'm not only doing it for the grown folks, but I'm doing it for the children as well. They need to be fed this as well. Not only the grown folks, but the children. So I gotta approach it in this manner, you know what I'm saying? And I gotta set the right example, you know what I'm saying, too. I got to set the right example, you know, because I can't be doing all this cussing and then you know the children come around and they doing all the cussing and then I'm telling them they can't cuss. Stop. I'm contradicting myself. That don't work. Do as I say, not what I does. You know what I'm saying? You can't teach a child like that. So I appreciate that too. And you setting the right example through your music. You know what I'm saying? All of y'all setting the right example, you know, through your music, man.
Thank you. I want to hear some of your music. I just want you to know that. I know we're in the middle of an interview, but you got to send me some links. I got to hear, because son told me that you did music.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
said, oh yeah. I said, I got to hear some of this stuff or whatever. You know what I mean?
I got you. I'm about to send you some. I do beats. I do more beats now than I do anything. Even though I kind of took a break from doing the music, but you know, behind me, I got the MPC. I got a 63 key lab keyboard. I got a Kai drum machine. I got the whole 9 works, man. So I definitely, I'm gonna send you
You
some
got
stuff.
you got to. I listen to quality music, man. So you know, I'm not going to just listen to anybody, but anybody that I know that got a positive message, they live in, you know, because you got a lot of people talking a lot of stuff, but do they live it? Do they live it? So when you know that somebody's living this way, you know what I mean? Especially like Cherie Jones, you know, man, that's my peoples. That's one of my truest goddess sisters from, man, probably like 15 years online or whatever. She talking about, you know, you reaching out to the youth and you know, a message to the youth. That's there's no greater audience that you can reach than the youth, because they the future. They the future. We got to make sure, because they being targeted by the enemy. The enemy know that they the future as well. So that's why they being targeted by the enemy. So we got to target them also in a positive manner and make sure that we combat, you know what I mean, what the enemy is pushing to them, you know what I mean, and we give them the right knowledge, the right, the truth, the right, you know, let them know who they really are. Let them know their true identity versus what the enemy is telling them who they are and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And my uncle, sidebar, was John Whitehead from the group McFadden Whitehead. Ain't no stopping us now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that was my Uncle Toot. We called him Uncle Toot.
Mhm.
Soar and Power. He was killed in Philadelphia, on some crazy stuff. But you know, I got a real rich background in music, and I'm connected to a lot of people that's in the music industry. You know what I mean? I knew Jill Scott before she came out.
Mm.
Jaguar Wright.
Oh,
One of my best friends, is an ex-boyfriend of her and her kids godfather. You know what I
mhm.
mean? So I'm connected with a lot of people in the music, man. So when we talk on music and what I listen to, I'm very selective, man. And I definitely want to reiterate. I want to hear that music. Don't forget to send me them links.
For sure.
You
I
know what I
got
mean? Because we mess around and do something together.
no doubt, no
I'm
doubt.
so serious, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. I got you. I got you. Where I want to go with it, man. What role does spirituality or ancestral connection play in your music, and how do you channel that into your lyrical expression?
Um, Everything is spirit. The breath is spirit.
Yes, sir.
So who I really am is always going to come out. What I'm thinking is going to come out. And sometimes it's not a good thing. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is we can be impulsive. And when we going through something in life, that's the best time to write because our music is therapeutic. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? It's a healing to us. And I've had so many people tell me that it's a healing to them. They're like, yo, I listened to your song today and man, yo, I got this song called Consciousness of a King where it talks about the black woman is God. And it's a real spiritual and soulful song. The track is soulful and the way I deliver it is crazy. Then I got another song called We're Talking About God, talking about God. And that's talking about us, who we are.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So when you talk about, the spirituality in the music, the soulfulness in the music, you know what I mean? All you're doing is being who you truly are. You know what I'm saying? We exist in the spirit realm and the energy, the conscious energy realm before we manifested in these bodies. These bodies is just temporary. We're gonna shed these bodies, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
like the caterpillar sheds its body, then it grows the wings and you know what I mean, gets that new body that becomes a butterfly. These bodies, this is just part of our journey, part of
Mhm.
our eternal journey, you know what I mean? So the spirit is always going to be in my music. The soul is always going to be in the music. That fire, that conscious energy is always going to be in my music, and it's most important than anything. It's more important than anything to me. You know what I mean? So it has a very big influence on everything that I do, how I live. You know what I mean? Walk, talk, the decisions I make. In real life as well as musically.
Okay, no doubt. Can you speak on how you balance activism, family, artistry, and what system or routine you put in place to keep evolving?
Oh, ooh. That's one of the hardest ones, right? When you're trying to balance all that, man, the brothers is like, man, we need you at the studio. Why ain't all you on this group call?
Yeah.
you know, um, and all of it's necessary. So you gotta master a balance. You gotta have a balance to it all. Uh, I know when to step back and take a break from certain things. You know what I mean? When I need time off from the work, from the job, listen, I'm calling them, I'm letting them know, listen, I'm taking a day or two, what I mean, vacation day, whatever, and I take some time off and get my rest. When I need a break away from the world, you know what I'm saying? I let my wife know it's time to go on a little weekend vacation. Let's go. Let's dip off. You know what I mean? Um, and musically, sometimes you got to take a step back, but there is no stepping back from being a father. You know what
No.
I'm saying? The family, you got to be present all the time. You know what I'm saying? There is no stepping back from being a warrior for our people because we are under attack constant. It's a constant barrage. Um, so we can't take a step back. Baba Baruti said in his book Iwa, um, he said sometimes we got to be in a demilitarized zone. You know what I'm saying? To recuperate, to rejuvenate, to refresh, to recharge. You know what I mean? And yeah, let's step back sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Take a breather. But then that's just to get that breather and like he said, refresh, rejuvenate, recharge, and then get back out there.
Yeah.
Because the fight is continuous and it's always ongoing for our people, our liberation. We got people who sacrifice their lives. You know what I'm saying? Baba or El Haj Malik El Shabazz, aka Malcolm X, Steve Biko, you know what I'm saying? Um, so many others, Patrice Lumumba, we could keep going on and on and on. Fred Hampton, um, um, Bobby Hutton, you know what I'm saying? Um, uh, Huey P. Newton, and I strongly believe Dr. Khalid Muhammad was assassinated, you know. Um, so many put their lives on the line for us, you know what I mean? And it was a full-time job for them. They were being attacked from outside forces as well as inside forces. You know what I'm saying? So it's a full-time job, you know what I mean? And you have to exercise a certain level of balance where when you're giving the brain rest as well, where you can shut down for a little bit, but you got to know that you can't never shut down for too long. You know what I mean? Because hey, you gonna go to lay down and go and take a rest for the night. You know what I mean? But at a certain point, them eyes gonna pop open and you're gonna wake up because you got things to do. You got a job to go to. You gotta pay the bills. You know what I mean? You got some work to do in the yard, whatever it is. You got some parenting to do. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. You got a radio show you gotta host. You know what I mean? You gotta exercise that balance and just make sure you are given a proper balance where you are still able to be effective in all areas and facets of who you are in every arena. You know what I mean? Where all the hats that you wear.
Yeah, I appreciate that, brother, because I'm battling with that. I try to be. I'm a well balanced person, but the rest part, I gotta. I can't. I like you say, you can be more effective once you get that rest. And what we call it, going in the valley. Me and my business partners, we talk about they tell all the time, man. Shoot, if you need me, bro, I'm gonna be in the valley. I really ain't gonna be doing nothing, but I'm gonna be in the valley. They just talking about that downtime, that
Yeah,
rest.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just something, man. I gotta get better with. I be up all types of hours in the night. I'm the first one up in my house and the last one in the bed. In my, in my house, man. And I gotta get better with rest. I'm always taking on all these different things. I wear so many different hats. I have to, I'm balancing all that, but I'm forgetting out the most important thing to implement in that, and that's that proper rest, man. And I definitely gotta
Mm-hmm.
start doing that. You just said when you on the job, hey, I'm you calling in and taking a vacation day. When you ready to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
escape the world, you telling your wifey, hey, look, pack up, we finna leave, and we finna go out of town for the weekend and get away from everything, relax,
Mm-hmm.
So, I definitely gotta do more than that. And it's crazy. Everybody I've been talking to was that conversation of rest or them breaking down, how they able to balance all of the hats that they are doing, but they always the most important thing always come back around is getting that rest. You can't be effective if you don't have that proper rest, and that's correct.
You, you hit it right on the nose, and I would just get ready to say without the proper rest, you can't be effective in all those areas where you do wear those hats at. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You are most effective when you are well rested,
yeah,
when you
you
are rejuvenated, when you are refreshed. You know what I'm saying? And it's that rest is so important because your health, depends on it. Your health, the good health requires sufficient rest. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So we got to make sure that we're doing it because we can't. If we unhealthy, we definitely not going to be as effective as we should be because now we're worrying about what we got to do to get the blood pressure right, get it back where it's supposed to be at. Get the kidneys or whatever is going on. You know what I mean? The disorder that is setting in your body because you're not getting a proper rest. You gotta focus your attention on that now. Now it's taken away from your attention in the other areas where you wear those hats. So rest is important. We
yeah,
got to make sure we're getting a proper rest. And when Baba Baruti said that in the book Iwa, it just he's always surprising me with his books, the content in his books and what he's saying and the messages he's given. That was important to me. That when I read that, I was just like, wow, he knows what it's about. He knows. Yeah.
yeah. Son got a question on here. He says, will he be on a new project for Team RBG, the Black State of Emergence?
I think he talking about you.
Oh, I didn't know he was. I thought
I'm
he.
not sure.
Is you asking him the question, or you asking me the question, son? We'll come back to that one, man. But yeah, man. looking, man, at the current landscape of Black consciousness and revolutionary music, what do you feel is missing, and what are you contributing to fill this gap?
Um, there's so many people bringing so many things right now. Like you said, you didn't know with so many people out there. You know, you had a handful of people that you listened to, like MCE and different groups. You know, Rock and I forget the other brother name,
Musa.
And Musa. Yeah, Son said he asking me, hey, listen, you put me on whatever I need to be on, man. You know, and point me in direction of who I need to talk to, and if they got room for me, I would love to be a part of, anything for our people, anything positive for our people. But like you said, you know, there were a handful of people that you knew about and that you listened to. You know, outside of that, there were so many people that you didn't know about. You know what I mean? That's doing so much. I know so many people in the South Jersey and Philadelphia area, New York area, Delaware area. And then I know a lot of people that out here in the Atlanta area that they do their thing, but they don't want it to be out there. You know what I'm saying? On that level. But it's a lot of music that I'm running across on a regular basis. People are putting me on to. So I can't say that it's missing so much, but if I would say it was missing anything, to me, it's been in me to just bring more soul, to get us back reconnected with our essence, who we are. We forgot to be the modern day Stevie Wonders. You know what I'm saying? You know, we forgot to be the modern day Bob Marleys. We forgot to be the modern day Gil Scott Herons, to put that soul back into it that, like you said, can really touch your core, make an impact on a vibrational frequency and a vibrational level where it can induce healing. It can induce emotional change and development and inspire you to be a better version of yourself. You know what I mean? We forgot to. A lot of us have forgotten. We moved away from the soul and we moving with just the fire. We are made of so many elements. We're not just made of the fire. The fire is important, and it's one of the most important things, that spark of who we are. But we are made of water also. We've made of the four elements. You know what I mean? The five elements, if you want to get real. You know what I'm saying? We made of the earth, the fire, the water, and the air. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the ether. We got to put that ether back into it. We got to put that water back into it. We got to put that earth, you know what I mean? Bring it back down to earth. Get a touch, get rooted again, get grounded again with who we are. And that's what we got to get back to. And that's what I'm trying to bring back, and I'm one of many. There's so many of us doing that, actually, as I run across different pages and different people and different projects that other people are a part of and doing. You know, we put the soul back into it. Let's get back to the soul, man. Our music was so powerful because it was spiritual music. It was soulful music. When you hear African music, you don't even gotta know what they saying sometimes. We don't know all of the languages, but we hear it and we feel it. We feel it, and we just like, it make us feel good inside. You ever listen to that Serafina album?
No, I haven't.
Yo, listen, the movie Serafina with Whoopi Goldberg, and we know Whoopi. We don't rock with Whoopi too much like that no more.
Nah, we don't.
Yeah. We don't rock with her. The whole Ted dancing thing and all that. But that movie Serafina, to me, about the apartheid in South Africa, was a powerful movie. And that soundtrack was crazy, bro. That soundtrack was so crazy. Like, it's stuff on there. I don't even know what they're saying, but I felt it. It's a song called Lizzo Boya, Lizobuya, Lizobuya. Listen to that song, Lizzo Boya, on the soundtrack of the Serafina, the Serafina soundtrack for that movie. Man, when I tell you, our music has such a level of soul and depth and spirituality that, you know what I mean, it's touching us and it's healing us as well. It's healing us on frequencies and vibrations that we never knew, and it's lifting us up. And if we aren't, bringing that back to the people, man, you know what I mean? If we ain't bringing that balance of the elements, you know what I mean? We bringing them all. We when we go to war with these people, we talk about, a lot of us talk in the RBG movement, conventional warfare and economic, group economics and stuff like that. All of that is necessary. It is real important. It's a must. It's vital. You know what I mean? That we do all this. But you know what I mean? We gotta bring back the spirit too. Our ancestors fought them with the spirit, with the soul. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? With voodoo. You know what I'm saying? We called on the elements, and we spoke into the ethers, and you know what I mean. We used that inner chi, that's inside of you, that life force inside of you, and we used that to fight. That's how they won the revolution in Haiti against France. You know what I'm saying? And we forgot to bring that back. We need to bring that back in music as well. RBG Patah, what's my hardest verse or song? I don't know. I mean, out of my collection, I would probably say I'm quick to say righteousness, but it's quite a few different verses that I really like, you know, that I feel like I really snapped on, you know what I mean? I got some songs that will never be released because, you know, I probably got like about 3 albums that won't be released. You know what I mean? Because it's stuff that I did on mixtape beats. And some of them I did on tracks that, you know, that I just didn't like the quality of the recording, and I'm no longer in touch with some of those producers and stuff like that to re-record them, stuff like that. But oh man, that's a hard one. Brother Patah, RBG Patah, you know, that's a good question though. But I would say I would say song wise, it probably right now I would go with either the intro, the song called the intro, or righteousness. Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, he got 1,000 rhymes. I'm telling you, he got a plethora. What they say, a plethora of albums. Man.
Thanks, brother.
So man, this is my last and final question, man. Lastly, what advice would you give to young artists looking to stay true to their cultural identity while building a brand in today's fast-paced digital world?
First and foremost, I would say learn who you are. You know what I mean? Learn who you are from Black scholars, African-centered scholars. You know what I mean? Who are telling you the truth, because you're being lied to by mainstream society. You know what I mean? The society or the culture that mainstream masses of Black people live in, that they call what they call it. I wouldn't even say pop culture, but I would say they would call it urban society, you know, urban culture. That's a culture that was created and given to us. You know what I'm saying? It was manufactured by our enemies and then given to us to be self-destructive. The identity, you know what I mean, was given to us. You know what I mean? That we were nothing, that we were just slaves and the descendants of slaves. They tell you we weren't, they won't tell you that we were pharaohs. You know what I mean? We were kings and queens. You know what I mean? That we cultivated the planet. You know what I'm saying? Africa is the motherland, but we cultivated the planet. We indigenous to the planet. The planet is ours. You know what I mean? Not just Africa. The roots of everything starts in Africa. You know what I'm saying? But we cultivated the planet. Learn who you are. Learn that our people, you know what I mean? We sailed the 7 seas when they thought that the earth was flat. You know what I mean? So they wouldn't go out so far because they thought they was going to fall off the edge of the earth. You know what I'm saying? We already navigated these oceans. You know what I mean? Long before they did. We've been sailing on ships. When all the continents was one great continent called Pangea, one supercontinent. You know what I mean? We've traveled by foot to the Americas. You know what I mean? We got ancient Kemetic statues and sculptures in the Grand Canyon. You know what I'm saying? So learn who you are from African scholars, people who are of you, who will look out for your best interests, and then you stay true to your identity. You know what I'm saying? And you spoke on being a warrior earlier when we first opened up, and you said how you spoke on how a warrior is a soldier. I want to elaborate on that a little bit. A warrior is a little bit different than a soldier. A soldier is given orders by somebody. You know what I'm saying? A warrior fights for what they believe in. A warrior, you know, stands for and is going to, you know, be unapologetic, you know what I mean, to the end, you know what I'm saying, for what he believes in and what he loves, you know what I'm saying, what he knows is right, you know what I mean? And we're not taking orders from nobody to be sent off into battle to fight for something we don't even know what we're fighting for, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, man, you know, where you're right that we are soldiers, you know what I mean? We soldiers for the cause, you know what I mean? We soldiers for the cause, which also makes us warriors, you know, fighting for what we believe in, what we know is right, what we know is true, and for our ancestors that came before us and that live on through us, and for the future generations that's coming behind us. You know what I'm saying? So stay true to that. I would tell the youth to stay true to that. You know what I mean? But it all starts with knowledge of self. Know who you really are outside of what mainstream society teaches you.
For sure.
And stay true to that.
Great advice. Great advice. For people that may want to reach out to you, you know what I'm saying, or just tap into some of your stuff, man, can you give your social media handles and where can they find your music at if they want to tap into your music?
On social media, you can find me on Instagram under Anray360. That's ANRAY 360. That's ANRAY 360. On all the streaming platforms, that's the same title. You know what I mean? ANRAY 360. Anray 360 on all the streaming platforms. SoundCloud, Bandcamp. I got some new projects coming out with my brother Red Fidel of the Solarians. I got a project that I released with Yarima Karama also that a lot of people don't know about. Me and Yarima Karama did a whole album. I think it's like 12 songs, and it's a crazy album. It's man, Yarima is another incredible lyricist, incredible musician, and a scholar in his own right. You know, tap in with him as well. But you can reach me on all those platforms on the Anray 360, ANRAY 360. That's YouTube, wherever. And that's it.
Okay. And like my brother said from Team RBG, man, I see some few faces on here, a few names I ain't familiar with. Please subscribe. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Please subscribe before you leave out. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Again, my brother, I appreciate you, man, for allowing me to interview you, man, and you gracing your presence on my platform, man. I greatly appreciate it, man. You could have been doing anything else, man, with your time, man, but you allowed to carve out a few, an hour or so, man, to allow me, man, to interview you, man, and I appreciate you, man, for that, man. I definitely appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you for giving me the platform, man. And it's been an honor, bro. You know what I mean? You really doing powerful things with your platform. I've seen quite a few different people on here that you've interviewed, and man, there's some powerful brothers that otherwise wouldn't have gotten that exposure if it wasn't for you. So honor and salute to you, brother. Please keep doing what you're doing, and let us know it, man, on my Instagram, my Facebook, whatever. How we can, keep supporting you, man, and pushing what you need. And I've had some people reach out to me asking me to get them your Cash App as well, so they can support what you're doing as well. So please send that to me along with the links. Don't forget the links.
Yeah, I got you.
Know what I'm saying? Yeah, send me the send me the Cash App. So I can push that to some people, man, because I got people that really love to support. You got people that talk about it, but they don't live it. And I know some people that really do live it, man, and they want to support what you're doing, because what you're doing is powerful.
All right, man. I definitely will, man. I appreciate y'all. Again, I appreciate everyone, man, that popped in and popped out. I appreciate those who stayed the duration of the interview. I appreciate those who may come back and look at this later on in the archives, man. We out here. I want to say peace, a biddy for Houdier, Black African Power, and we'll see y'all when we see y'all. We out this thing.
Spoken word. Conscious hip-hop. 360. Yeah. Almighty God. I'm back. Let me talk to y'all real quick. Yo, Anray 3000 said he don't have nothing to speak about. I respect him much, but don't agree in the least amount. Our people's lost in crooked ways, we gotta lead them out. The false teachers are speaking, we gotta weed them out. And there's so many things we could meet about and put to rest adverse to things we could beef about. The school to prison pipelines real in America. MK Ultra invading all your mental barriers, attacking positive chi, making you disagreeable, infecting your flesh, and the damage is unforeseeable. Adapted ways of the snakes, trapped by King Leopold. The booth is my home, my soul music's my vehicle. to drive home the point of truth. I'm a one-man army cipher and battling zeitgeist in the booth. At heights fighting the spook, a night light for the youth. I write life in a sentence and giving it just to you. It's lyrically been a few, but most don't really spit flames addressing the real, cause most of them been tame. My chin stained by burn marks when the gift came. It's hot in the book of life, my name's now ingrained. I spit sage, murder, mucus, get your click grades. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the 10th wave. Disciples of Noah told them about the higher ground to avoid the flood of venom of those with wires now. Any booth you put me in, consider firebound. Anyone not spitting truth should retire now. I heard the threats in the distance from those with bird chests. A bird mess, get them all hit quick. I'm Fibonacci climbing, a higher tier in this rhyming. My sequence of defense preachers don't try it. To God, to God, to God, to God. 360. 360. Talk to me. What type of life is this? Righteousness, righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness, righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness, righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness, righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. I was granted a gift, planet to shift this. Walk with a big stick and talk with the mystics. Lost in the distance. Long for the big riffs. I'm more than a quick fist. I'm God of this. Black hole scent rippling, gathering light. Catch this info from radiance you fathom is bright. Under rays of the sun, watching the forward in the night. Heat on my waist just in case I'm exposed to the ice. And what you know about the lows if you weren't told of the heights? Truly learn about the wrongs if you weren't told of the rights. What I'm about to bring to the game is going to leave a permanent mark and a stain. Disrupt and distort the plane. Rearrange entire landscapes. A higher level in flames is summoned whenever speaking my name. Flee the lane. I'm different than anything ever heard before I came. Some out whistling Dixie, some just crystalline pain. 360. What type of life is this? Righteousness, righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness, righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness, righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a Viking ship. What type of life is this? Righteousness, righteousness. Catch me reciting this. Guns like a